What's up, good people, and welcome back to Black History Month, Episode 3. Last week, I talked about the indigenous peoples of the Nile Valley civilization and argued they were of African descent or of the black race, therefore, placing the beginning of black history to 3150 BCE. We also know that in 1883, the great state of Wisconsin was using a textbook teaching white supremacy and labeling black people as savages. 1883 was 140 years ago, and how much progress have we made in Wisconsin when it comes to teaching black history? I was recently speaking with one of our high school students who was taking an online African American history class for Wisconsin high school students. I was excited that this course was available to students, and I wanted to learn more about it. I'm not going to name the organization affiliated with this course out of respect, but do want to mention that it fails to bring in the perspective of black people's lived experiences and scholarship. For example, the course content acknowledges Africa as the birthplace of humanity, but is followed by a picture of Charles Darwin and his theory on evolution. I can't even lie, that one threw me off big time. What's more disturbing is the first image you see of an African is in chains and as cargo on a slave ship. Why does this course not show images of African people from the empires of Mali, Songhai, or Ghana? Why does this course begin the history of black Americans from such a deficit-based narrative? The course also goes into great detail about the slave trade and slavery in the United States, but from a European perspective. As I was going through the course content, I was asking myself, why wouldn't the course use the story of Solomon Northup, a free black man who was sold into slavery and later escaped back to freedom? He chronicles his experience in the book called 12 Years a Slave. Or why isn't the autobiography of Frederick Douglass or Douglass's speech, What to the Slave is the 4th of July, used in the course as content? I can go on and on about this, but let me highlight the ways in which a few good men, black men that is, single-handedly influenced the United States and advanced civilization in the area of agriculture and food. Benjamin Banneker, a free black man and also a Moor, invented the first clock in the United States and was a surveyor of the land now known as Washington, D.C. More importantly, he authored the first almanac in the United States. The almanac was extremely important for the growth of the agrarian economy of the U.S. Without an almanac, farmers would have been clueless about weather patterns and growing seasons for crops. George Washington Carver was born into slavery, but became a scientist who invented over 300 uses for the peanut and was responsible for inventing crop rotation. Crop rotation is the practice of planting different crops sequentially on the same plot of land to improve soil health, optimize nutrients in the soil, and combat pest and weed pressure. Without healthy soil, an agrarian economy cannot thrive. Again, consider the ways in which this invention helped grow the agrarian economy of this nation. And lastly, Frederick McKinley Jones. He was responsible for inventing the first system for mobile refrigeration, or the refrigerated truck. Without this invention, it would be extremely difficult for people across the nation, and the world for that matter, to have access to fresh foods. As you think about the contributions of Benjamin Banneker, George Washington Carver, and Frederick McKinley Jones, do you see how they advanced this nation and civilization when you bring their contributions together under a focused theme? There are so many people to tell you about, so let's keep rolling, my good people. Matthew Henson, a black explorer who was recognized as the first person to reach the North Pole in 1909. And then you have Percy Julian, a black research chemist whose work led to a treatment for glaucoma and the production of cortisone and birth control pills. Shirley Chisholm, the first black woman elected to Congress and the first black candidate for president of the United States in 1972. Yes, she paved the way for Jesse Jackson and President Obama. Mary McLeod Bethune, a black woman who was an educator, philanthropist, and humanitarian. She founded the Daytona Beach Literacy and Industrial School for training Negro girls, which eventually became Bethune-Cookman College. Maggie Lena Walker, a black woman who was the first female bank president of any race to charter a bank in the United States. Bessie Coleman, the first woman of black and Native American descent to hold a pilot license. and the first American to earn an international pilot license. I'm just scratching the surface and can go on and on all day about Black contributions. So as I get ready to close, I'd like to share a story. I was visiting an elementary school yesterday to meet with the principal and arrived a few minutes early. I was roaming the hallways and walked into a classroom of a teacher I know. On her screen was a slideshow highlighting the contributions of Black Americans for Black History Month. That made my day, and I smiled to see a teacher leveraging the month of February to bring Black excellence into her classroom. In today's world, our nation is becoming more racially diverse. By 2045, there will be more people of color classified as United States citizens than white Americans. It is also important to note that Black Americans are the youngest group of citizens in this nation when compared to all other racial groups. If we want to remain the greatest nation on earth, it is important for our Black youth to receive an education that builds their sense of self-worth and purpose. It is equally, if not more important, for all young people, regardless of race, to learn about Black people from a position of strength, because it will help them see Black people in their full humanity. Black history is equity work. Black history is freedom work. Black history is humanitarian work. I love Black history because Black history is me. You cannot know where you are going until you know where you have been. That's all I got for y'all, and I leave you with peace and love, good people.